Happy New Year to everybody out there. Welcome to 2024. And of course, the first video that I want to do is a build guide that I forgot to do last week. Not because the character didn't deserve it, but more so there was just so much going on. So my apologies to everybody for not getting this guide out a little bit sooner. But today we're going to be talking about Xueyi, the newest 4-star to come to Honkai Star Rail. Now, of course, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Honkai Star Rail video comes out. Of course, guys, today is a build guide video, so of course we're going to be talking about what you need to do to ascend your Xueyi from level 1 to level 80, and of course how to build her casually. Now granted, again, this is a very casual build, so please don't rip me apart too much, but of course let me know in the comments down below if you find other builds a lot better. Now of course, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Of course, we have Xueyi, and big shout out to honeyhunterworld.com for always providing such great actual like detailed things. Like, it makes it very easy to understand, in my opinion, to kind of go through everything. But first things first, let's talk about ascending your Xueyi from level 1 to level 80. Now, of course, the first thing that you're going to need is these cores. So you're going to need the extinguished cores, you're going to need the glimmering cores, and you're also going to need these ones, the squirming cores. So all of these are going to be found from overworld enemies. So just be ready for that, because you know, you can farm these every day. It's not that big a deal. Now, of course, you also got to remember that Hoyoverse works in rules of 3 with their items. So 3 of these extinguished cores make a glimmering core, and 3 of the glimmering cores make a squirming core. So you're going to need 12 of the extinguished, 13 of the glimmering, and 12 of the squirming. So there's that. Now, of course, we also have Nail of the Ape, which is one of the most recent stagnant shadows that have come out, and you're going to need 50 of the Nail of the Apes. Now, you get a 5 on the max run, which means that, you know, we have 240 Trailblaze power. I always forget this. I always have a hard time with this, but it's 8 times you get to do it a day. So 8 one day, 2 the next day. Either way, you're going to get it done in 2 days. And normally you're going to take 2 days to get all of these boss mats anyway, or that's really the only way that I could say it. It is a boss mat, but you would need 2 days anyway. So 10 runs in total. Very simple, not too hard. So outside of that, let's go ahead and talk about what you're going to need for all the trace materials to level up Xueyi from just beginner mode to she's maxed out. All right. So first things first, we're going to be talking about the very exclusive item for destruction characters, which you get from the red calyxes. The shattered blade right here, which goes into the lifeless blade, and then followed by the world breaker blade. These are all destruction path orientated, you know, items or level up materials. Now again, rules of 3. 3 of the shattered blades make the lifeless blade, and 3 of the lifeless blade make a world breaker blade. Now, you're going to need 12 shattered blades in total. Well, just outside of the other things. 54 of these lifeless blades, and then world breaker blades, you're going to need 105 in total. And that's a lot of grinding for the red calyx. I believe in you, don't worry. Trust me on that. Now, of course, not only that, but we're going to need more of these cores. You're going to need 28 more of the extinguished cores, 42 more of the glimmering cores, and 42 more of the squirming cores, which means you're going to need a grand total of 40 extinguished, what looks to be 55 of the glimmering, and a total of 56 of the squirming cores. Onto this, which is the newest world boss that has come out, Past Evils of the Blowhole Planet Disaster. Or Borehole, I said blowhole. my bad. But this is basically, you're fighting the giant beetle boy. You're fighting a giant Beetleborg, and getting these materials. Now, you get 3 of these materials every time you beat them, and every week it resets to where you can beat them 3 times, right? So 3 times 3 for 1 week is 9. You're going to need 12 in total, so that's 2 weeks of work. But that's only if you're maxing out your Xueyi. I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't, but I will say that if you do, you're going to need to do that. And then, of course, 5 tracks of destiny, which are very easy to come by. We get them like candy just about. So there's that. Now, of course, in total between ascending and your trace materials, you're going to need a grand total of about 2.7 million credits, which is a lot. I will say that the one thing that HSR does to make you know, their currency, quote unquote, like big, is that it's limited. You're not going to get a lot of it over time unless you're like really just salvaging everything that you can. Unlike Genshin, where I have 74 million Mora and nothing to do with it. So there's that. Now, of course, let's go ahead and break into the abilities. Now, remember that Xueyi is part of the Destruction Path and of Quantum Element, which means that she is an AoE attacker. So first things first, let's talk about her skill here. Iniquity Obliteration. I almost messed that up. And that's going to be the skill. Now, of course, it deals quantum damage equal to 175% of Xueyi's attack to a single enemy, and quantum damage equal to 87.5% of Xueyi's attack to any adjacent enemies, which means that you're going to want to probably focus attack power in general. Now, of course, you're going to go into the ultimate here, Divine Castigation. Divine Castigation goes as follows. Deals quantum damage equal to 300% of Xueyi's attack to a single target enemy. This attack ignores weakness types and reduces the enemy's toughness. When the enemy's weakness is broken, the quantum weakness break effect is triggered. In this attack, the more toughness is reduced, the higher the damage will be dealt, up to a maximum of 72% increase. Now, this is big because we saw with Ranmei coming out as well that break effect and toughness are going to be kind of the playstyle move with these, which means that you're gonna want to probably focus Xueyi with some break effect on top of that. So it's going to be a very, very specific build with her. Not only that, but if we look at these bonus traces here, Intrepid Roller Bearings, if the enemy target's toughness is equal to or higher than 50% of their max toughness, it also deals 10% more damage when using the ultimate. So again, you want to make sure that you're focusing on getting that toughness down, which makes Ranmei a very, very good partner for Xueyi. Of course, she's a good partner for everybody at this point, so it doesn't matter. Let's go to the talent let's go into the talent Karmic Perpetuation. Oh my gosh, sorry about that. I kind of zoomed out for a sec. When Xueyi reduces enemy toughness with attacks, karma will be stacked. The more toughness is reduced, the more stacks the karma are added, up to 8 stacks. When Xueyi's allies reduce enemy toughness with attacks, Xueyi gains 1 stack of karma, which means it's perfect again for Ranmei. Figures. When karma reaches the max amount of stacks, consumes all current karma stacks, and immediately launches a follow-up attack against an enemy target, dealing damage for 3 times, with each time dealing quantum damage equal to 112.5% of Xueyi's attack to a single enemy or a single random enemy. The follow-up attack will not add karma stacks. So she has the ability to do follow-up attacks as well, so that's really good. Usually we only see follow-up attacks with either DOT with Nihility or with the Hunt, but now we're starting to see those follow-up attacks kind of go into Destruction, which is pretty sick. Of course, we got a couple of traces that work really, really well with this as well. Clairvoyant Loom increases damage dealt by this unit by an amount equal to 100% of break effect, up to the maximum damage increase of 240%, which means that break effect is going to be big up in what you're gonna need to get her, which is great because I know that we had characters that did rely a little bit on break effect, but it seems like we're really getting into the break effect meta. I can't say this. Perpetuous mainframe. I'm gonna say the PP mainframe. Xueyi will keep a tally of the number of karma stacks that exceed the max stack limit, up to 6 stacks in the tally. After Xueyi's talent is triggered, she will gain a corresponding number of tallied karma stacks. And then, of course, lastly, as we go into the technique here, the summary execution immediately attacks the enemy. After entering combat, deals 80% of Xueyi's attack as quantum damage to all enemies. Now, Xueyi is pretty dang good for a 4-star. Now, I love that HSR makes these 4 stars pretty good. Now, I'm not saying that she's game breaking, but I don't really think there's a 4-star that's been game breaking except for probably Tingyun. And then of course, some of the Nihility units would work really well in certain teams. But I think that the 4 stars are balanced, but also work really well in the meta. I don't think any of them have been kind of like brushed off except for maybe like Arlen and Hook a little bit, but I digress. Let's go ahead and talk about some light cones, right? So light cones for Xueyi are pretty standard. One is a really, really good free-to-play one, which is On the Fall of Aeon, and you get this from Simulated Universe, and it goes as follows. Whenever the wearer attacks, their attack is increased by 8% in the battle. The effect can stack up to 4 times, which means that you're going up to a 32% attack. After the character inflicts weakness break on an enemy, the wearer's damage increases the wearer's damage increases by 12% for 2 turns. Not only are you getting a 32% buff from your attack stacks if you get up to that 4, but you're also getting a 12% in damage for 2 turns if you break weakness. So that's really, really good in that regard. But if you don't have that 5-star just yet, if you haven't been doing Simulated Universe, you do have a couple of 4-star options like Under the Blue Sky, increase the wearer's attack by 16%, and when the wearer defeats an enemy, the wearer's crit rate is increased by 12% for 3 turns. Of course, with Xueyi being a DPS, crit is a must. So there's going to be a lot to talk about here in just a second. So we'll get to the actual stats. But let's go ahead and dive into a Secret Vow, which is another 4-star that you could use on Xueyi. Increases damage dealt by the wearer by 20%. The wearer also deals an extra 20% of damage to enemies whose current HP percentage is equal to or higher than the wearer's current HP percentage. And then another 4-star is also the Moles Welcome You, which is when the wearer uses a basic attack skill or ultimate to attack enemies, the wearer gains 1 stack of Mischievous. Each stack increases the wearer's attack by 12%. So getting that attack buff is really, really good for your Xueyi, which means that maybe, just maybe, attack percentage might not be what you need to really go for. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and talk about the actual relics themselves. Now, being that Xueyi is a quantum character, your best relic set would probably be Genius of the Brilliant Stars. Being 2-piece, quantum damage is increased by 10%, and then the 4-piece, when the wearer deals damage to the target enemy, ignores 10% defense, and if the target enemy has a quantum weakness, the wearer additionally ignores 10% more defense, which is really good. You could also use Thief of the Shooting Meteor, increases break effect by 16% on the 2-piece, which again, you're going to want that break effect for Xueyi, so it makes a lot of sense. Or the 4-piece, the wearer's break effect is increased by another 16%, and after wearer inflicts weakness break on the enemy, it regenerates 3 energy, getting your ultimate back and being able to use it again. We also have the new set that came out, the Ash Blazing Grand Duke, with the 2-piece, increases the damage dealt by follow-up attacks by 20%, which would be really good for when you're able to actually get those karma stacks. And when the wearer uses a follow-up attack, or uses follow-up attacks, increase the wearer's attack by 6% for every time the follow-up attack deals damage. This effect can stack up to 8 times and last for 3 turns, and the effect is removed the next time the wearer uses a follow-up attack. For me, I don't think that this would be the best go-to set, but you can use it, so don't be afraid to test it out. I would definitely say that Genius of the Brilliant Stars is still the best set for Xueyi. Now, of course, we also need our 2-pieces. So I got 3 2-pieces right here that I've been able to find that could work really, really well. We have Reliant Arena, increase the wearer's crit rate by 8%. And when the wearer's current crit rate reaches 70% or higher, the wearer's basic attack and skill damage is increased by 20%. Now, it's good, but you have to rely on the fact that you're going to get heavy crit rate pieces. And with speed and break effect and maybe even attack being at play, it's gonna be tough for you to be able to actually hit that. But of course, having that 8% crit rate makes it a little bit easier for you because of the fact that, you know, you only need 62. But of course, we also have Inert right here, or Inert Salsetto. Increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%, and when the wearer's current crit rate reaches 50% or higher, which is a lot easier to obtain, the wearer's ultimate and follow-up attack damage is increased by 15%. Oh, whoopsie, didn't mean to do that, my bad. But that, I feel, is actually a better option. I would honestly say Inert Salsetto is the better option because, again, with you getting that 8% crit rate, you only have to worry about getting 42%, and 42% is a lot easier than 62%. And then, of course, we also have Talia, Kingdom of Banditry. Increase the wearer's break effect by 16%, and when the wearer's speed reaches 145 or higher, the wearer's break effect is increased by another 20%, which is good because, again, break effect is basically needed for this, right? So, if we're going to talk about actual sets, I think that your best bet would probably be the Genius of Brilliant Stars, and then choosing between Inert Salcedo or Talia. If you want to get more crit than Break Effect, go for Inert. But if you want to go for Break Effect, go for Talia, which I'm really glad to see that Talia is actually getting a lot of recognition now, especially with Break Effect now in full swing, I guess, in that regard. Now, of course, there are a couple things that you need to focus on in regards to what your pieces need to be. So let's say you are going for a Genius of Brilliant Stars. You need to focus on your chest piece being crit rate or crit damage. Probably crit rate, because again, if you want to get that crit rate up to that 50% for Inert to kick in, then there you go. Or even if you do choose to go with the Reliant. But crit rate, crit damage, and then your boots, obviously speed, followed by quantum being, or quantum damage bonus being your Inert Salcedo pieces, or or you know, whatever other like set you want to use. So quantum damage bonus, sorry, got really confused there for a second. And your chain should be attack percentage to give you that extra attack percentage that you're going to need anyway. I know that's a lot, and I know that I kind of went everywhere, so let's recap one more time. I say your best sets are Brilliant Stars, being as it is, and then for your set pieces, your main stat should be crit rate, crit damage for the chest piece, and boots should be speed, followed by either Inert Salcedo or Talia, and your orb should be quantum damage bonus, with your chain being attack percentage. Your main stats that you should be focusing on, not in any particular order, but probably should go with it: Break Effect, speed, crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage. So any of those would be good. You do have a little bit of leeway with some pieces, but it's all going to be dependent on if you can get your crit rate up to 50%, or if you get your speed up to 145. So it really just depends. Now, that's a lot. It's a lot. So what characters is she good with? We did kind of talk about Xueyi here, and she's really good with Ron Mei, dealing with that break effect stuff. You could run her with a Hanya as well, because you're going to want to use her skill a lot with Xueyi. So getting those skill points back is a plus. You want skill points back as soon as possible. You could also run, you know, I would say best preservation unit in the game right now with Fu Xuan. But if you don't have a Fu Xuan and you want to use another preservation unit, it's going to be kind of tough. You could use Japard. Geppi's still good. Geppi's not the best, but Geppi's still good. You also have why am I drawing a blank here? Hold on a second. I'll pull it right up really quick. I feel really bad. Let's go to preservation. Yeah, you really only have Fu Xuan and Geppi, and then you have March 7th. March 7th is a decent 4-star choice. But even still, you could even run Fire Trailblazer. I would say Fire Trailblazer probably over March 7th, but definitely if you have Fu Xuan, use Fu Xuan. Goated. I love Fu Xuan. So, but yeah, that's really all I got for Xueyi. I haven't entirely built her completely myself. I've been trying to build up my 2 teams, because I won't lie to y'all, I know how to build these characters, but the thing is I've had a tough time making my account like super strong, because I'm so focused on videos and stuff. So I've been focusing on building my teams to be as perfect as they possibly can be. So I haven't had a chance to fully get done with Xueyi, but Xueyi is on my list because she looks like she's a lot of fun, and I like her design in general. So she's really cool. And y'all, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below, and hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Honkai Star Rail video comes out. Y'all, again, I'm so stoked for 2024. I'm very excited for the fact that we have so many things planned for this year. Whether it's the YouTube channel, the Twitch, the TikTok, whatever's going on, I'm ready for it, and I hope y'all are too. Thank you for sticking by me. I can't wait to see what this year brings. But anyways, that's gonna be it. Love you all to death, and as always, we will catch you in the next video. Please take care and be safe.